This is the Unspoken Podcast on the Undetermined Podcast Network.
You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast, a cheap seat sports production part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. It's episode number 34. Tom Albano here with Nick Fodera, as always. Nick, it's the last episode.
That's right.
Nick, it's the last episode I'm doing from home.
Are you homesick yet? Well, you will be.
Maybe not the first week. Maybe by the fourth week.
You'll be fine, believe me.
I know.
But, yeah, we're about to start our second year at Hofstra University for the journalism program and...
The Journalism Masters program.
Journalism Masters program. Woo!
We're bigger than that.
Yeah. That and $15 can buy... That and $15 can buy a nice car wash.
Oh, jeez. Anyways, we got some stuff we got to talk about today. Not as detailed as last week, but we got still some stuff to talk about today, including that Mayweather-McGregor fight.
Yes, the moment of truth has finally come and passed. And tell us about it, Tom. Tell us what transpired.
All right. Well, to be quite honest with you, it was actually entertaining. It was an actually entertaining fight. It was a good fight. So Mayweather versus McGregor happened on Saturday night, and McGregor and Mayweather, and you think maybe, it's only going to last like one round or such, and it lasts 10 of the possible 12. McGregor actually got a good start. He had a good 4 or 5 rounds. He actually made the bookies in Las Vegas sweat profusely.
A little bit.
Not a little bit, profusely.
Well, I imagine there wasn't kneecapping, but there was finger breaking.
Oh, God.
For every round he wins, I will break one finger.
Oh, God.
But still, nobody expected him to go 10 rounds, right?
No. Everyone thought maybe it'd be over. You had the McGregor's claim of inside 4 rounds, which turned to 2, which turned to 1. And then you had Floyd saying... Now, I mean, Floyd's guarantee did fulfill. He said he's not going to last the full distance. But I would assume he lasted a lot longer than Floyd thought he would have.
Yeah, I'm sure. Because I didn't get to see the fight, but from the pictures I've seen, midway towards the fight, you could almost see the expression on Mayweather's face. It's like, how is this asshole still standing? He's supposed to be on the mat by now.
Well, McGregor can take a punch, and he spent some time training and stuff. Plus, he is a UFC guy. He has taken punches before. It's not like it's unknown to him. It's just a different form. Boxing is like one different form of mixed martial arts. Boxing is one of those things that you put into your MMA training.
Yeah, I mean, well, I wouldn't be incorrect in assuming that we both went into this fight expecting a complete farce, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure most people did. Most people were impatient because it's like, why do we have to watch 3 hours of undercard or 3.5 hours of undercard? It's like, if you're complaining about, because some of those matches were pretty much farces. A couple were good, and then some of them were just ridiculous. I'm like, well, welcome to boxing. Welcome to combat sports. That's always how it is. They're always preliminary bouts. If you don't...
And people are thinking, I spent $100 on this?
Right. Although there is a funny meme that's going around that somebody has allegedly played somebody else $20 for a stream to the fight, and I'm getting a photo of what's like Mayweather versus McGregor in Wii Boxing, the Wii Sports Boxing.
Oh, yeah. I love Wii Boxing, by the way. I love that game.
I haven't played Wii Sports in a fucking long time.
That the boxing was, you know what? In a lot of ways, I think that kind of Wii Sports is kind of apt for describing the Mayweather-McGregor fight because it's kind of just slapping. There's no form. There's no substance. It's just.
Well, going into that, McGregor had a little bit of a hard time not going to his MMA ways. Let's just put it that way. Ended up a couple of times trying to get behind.
Punch him in the back of the head. You said.
What happened?
You said punch him in the back of the head a couple times, right?
That's right. He used the hammer fist. He tried to clinch Mayweather and use the hammer fist coming down on the back of the head, punches like that, or back of the neck, something like that.
I used to punch like that when I was mad at my brother. Granted, I was 4.
Well, it's an MMA technique. It's called the hammer. It's the hammer fist. Instead of a regular punch, you're going down.
Yeah, of course, they make it sound cooler than I could ever do. So, but
it's also you're supposed to do it mostly. You're also mostly supposed to do it when you're doing the ground and pound, when you're on the ground trying to beat the ever living crap out of somebody else to get the TKO. But regardless,
he was using a lot more boxing techniques than he was his old MMA training.
Right, he still was. It was just like some people are like, oh, he's going to get disqualified and stuff. This guy has been a mixed martial artist for a long time. It's like there are going to be things still in him.
Oh yeah, you can't unlearn everything.
Right.
But I must say,
okay,
I must tell you, I was not going to be interested in the fight because I found out I was live blogging. I was watching ESPN's live
the tweet feed,
live feed of it, the live tweet thing of it.
Yeah.
And I happened to notice at like 10 o'clock. It's okay. The fight should be on by now. Let's see what happened. And it delayed an hour because of pay-per-view issues.
Oh, yes. How can we forget the great pay-per-view issues? So, they said, now to be fair, Showtime, UFC, Dana White, etc. said, order this event early because there may be problems with, high demand and such. And, well, that proved to be true. A couple of cable providers, I think was it Comcast or Cox, something went down. One of them went down, and people are having a hard time ordering. I know UFC Fight Pass did crash. UFC Fight Pass itself actually did crash because of an overload of demand. I'm trying to see. Well, let's see. Let me look this up because I know there were pay-per-view issues.
I really do hope it was Cox Cable because then my jokes are just infinite. Oh no, Cox is flopping. Cox on a limp.
It's funny that I said. It's funny how much I remember Cox Cable. It's like, what's the big cable the cable now? You have your satellites with DirecTV and Dish Network, but it's like Comcast,
Optimum,
Spectrum, like Cox Cable,
Optimum, Verizon, Fios,
which I have.
Good luck.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. Let's see. There were several reports on Saturday night about fans having trouble paying online and through, online and through cable systems. Let's see. UFC Fight Pass. There you go. Sarah Kaufman, and a UFC fighter, was having UFC Fight Pass issues. Let's see. Xfinity in Florida. Some cable company called Frontier Communications.
Never heard of them.
Neither have I. Let me check quickly if it was Comcast that had pay-per-view issues. Let's see. Here's one that's just that it was filled with problems. Let me see some of the list on here. Let's see. Still Frontier Corp. Let's see. Still UFC Fight Pass. Let's see. But yeah, it did. It was supposed to get underway at about 11:15, but it ended up. When did the fight end up? It was like 12 a.m. or something like that.
Yeah, because and plus you have people, drunk, belligerent boxing fans in pubs all around the world, and I can't imagine what that wait was like.
I can't find one on Comcast or Cox. It might have been. I was just confusing that with Xfinity because I know Xfinity did have the problems in Florida.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. But still, I mean, still, that's not the best foot you want to start out on for your big, multi-million-dollar fight.
And now they do have to offer refunds. UFC Fight Pass is issuing refunds to anybody who did have trouble watching the fight.
Oops.
Yeah, major oops. There goes hundreds of dollars.
But I did manage to catch, I don't know who was doing this. He's probably in jail by now. But I managed to find a stream that somebody put on Twitter of a pub in London.
That's next. So,
and that's a fight.
Illegal streaming. We said last week, I said Showtime issued a thing, to say, if you show this, like they were shutting down big name streamers. Websites. Well, that didn't stop the illegal streaming. As people have took to Facebook Live, took to Twitter, took to Periscope, and were streaming the fights themselves from locations like bars, their own homes, hooking it up to...
Yeah, stealing somebody's cable.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that because I'm not that techie of a person.
No. Believe me, it's not worth it just to get a couple scrambled channels. No.
I was gonna say this reminds me of like old school HBO.
It does. Before you used to be able to literally splice into your neighbor's cable when cable actually was a physical thing. God. But still, I mean, I didn't watch all the fight, so I managed to get 7 minutes because it's almost like watching porn. It's like, oh my God, I shouldn't be watching this. and you know what? After about 7 minutes, you could tell that it was a Facebook Live counter that he somehow had cross-posted to Twitter, and 12,000 people were viewing it, and then all of a sudden, screen goes black. Nobody's watching it. That means somebody cracked down on that poor asshole.
Yep. But still, regardless, so it's like, Nick, do you think Facebook Live, Twitter, Periscope, that's now going to be the new, instead of illegal streaming websites, we got this?
If they were smart, they'd find a way to monetize it.
Oh my God, that'd be even worse. That'd be more jail time for them, probably.
But if UFC was smart, well, if the Boxing Commission was smart, they'd find a way to be able to stream this live. Think of the money you would make.
Right. Well, UFC Fight Pass, that is their thing. Unfortunately, it crashed on them.
Yeah, it doesn't always work.
Right.
But still, what the fight overall? I didn't see. Did McGregor actually hit the mat before the?
No.
Before the ref called it?
No, and that's one thing. That was one of the complaints is that some people feel like McGregor. The referee should have let McGregor, go to the match or something like that. It was stopped too early. I'm going to kind of disagree. I thought the fight was stopped right on time. McGregor just looked completely out of it, exhausted. He was against the ropes. Mayweather was leaning it in on him. It's like, it was done by that point. And plus, those of you, I guess some boxing fans, very casual boxing fans think, oh, he has to hit the mat. It doesn't have to be like that. If someone's taking that bad of a beating, the referee can just jump in and stop the fight whenever he wants.
Oh yeah, and I'm surprised why he didn't. Because once Mayweather got his groove going, let's say.
Right. So, I mean, it's like the ninth round, I was thinking maybe, but McGregor did land a hard shot early and rock Mayweather, so it was like, oh, maybe he still has some fight left in him, but then the next round, it's like, no. Just no.
But you know what? I must ask.
Yes.
I mean, to kind of put a bow on all this.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Can a mess of a fight, and we both agree that this was a mess. Can a mess of a fight still be entertaining?
The hype of the stuff, you mean?
Yeah. Can a fight be a mess and entertaining at the same time?
I'm sure of it. It's not the first time that's happened. It's not going to be the last. If you want to talk Conor McGregor, his bout with Nate Diaz, the second bout, he had the bottle throwing incident, and then you had to have like security in the ring for the fucking entrances and face off.
Oh, Christ!
But it's
and that leads into my next question.
Okay.
What's the next freak show in combat sports?
Oh, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out what the hell's next for Conor McGregor. Because McGregor, he does now suddenly he wants to do both boxing and MMA. I'd rather he stick to MMA and actually defend his title. Dana White wishes he sticks to MMA, of course.
Yeah, because Dana White looks like he was dragged into this kicking and screaming. The guy looked like he was on the verge of tears at all time.
That's his guy. He's got to represent Conor and such. But I'm trying to think because how many people? Conor got a couple of call-outs during the lead up and during the fight. Tony Ferguson, who's competing for the interim lightweight title, because of course Conor hasn't defended the lightweight title once. He's called him out. Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor may have a third fight. But Conor, instead of being in at 170, like the first two fights, Conor has recently said if he wants a third fight, he comes down to my weight and fight for the title, which I think if they are going to have a third fight, that's how it should be. It shouldn't be Conor stepping up to 170 when he's the defending 145 champion like last two fights.
You think they may try? You think they may try something like this again?
I don't know. I really don't know. If so, I don't want it to happen for a long time because I want this, to be a spectacle. I want this to, be something special. Plus, boxing versus MMA, it's happened in the MMA cage before. James Toney fought Randy Couture, and James Toney had no jiu-jitsu training, no nothing about groundwork, and Couture took him down in the first 10 seconds and ended up choking him out like 3 minutes later.
This is what happens in combat sports. It's about the spectacle and not the. That's something that we can thank Vince McMahon for.
Yeah,
because WWE, I think, has had a bigger impact on the sport of boxing and MMA than they would like to admit.
Right. Right. I mean, what's it called? I think there is some influence. What's it called? Conor McGregor says Vince McMahon is a hell of a genius. Dana White and Vince McMahon, I don't know if you want to say good friends, but they're acquaintances, at least. And
so they spit in each other's food, discreetly.
Right.
They don't do it that often.
Right. And MMA, if it weren't for boxing, MMA wouldn't exist. MMA, the original UFC, for those of you who forget, was all these different fighting styles, and it's like trying to figure out the best one, or something like, can a jiu-jitsu guy beat a boxer? Can a kickboxer? What happens when a kickboxer and a sumo guy face off? What happens when a karate guy and a sumo guy faces off? It's all about these different styles and trying to see which, could outbest the other.
It's like getting really, really, really high in a gym and saying, "Wow, who would win in a fight?"
Right. But regardless, I thought Mayweather-McGregor lived up to its hype, and it was actually a really cool fight. And what's next? Like Marinello said on the program. Now back to your regularly scheduled program. UFC's got UFC stuff. Boxing's got boxing stuff. Another big boxing fight coming up in 2 weeks' time. UFC has a pay-per-view next week. Back to normal.
Money will be made, and people will be upset.
Yep, we're back to normal. You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast, the Cheap Seat Sports Production Party Undetermined Podcast Network. Nick, so that Yankee game yesterday, I couldn't catch most of it, but CC I saw got a little heated.
Heated is sort of the word I would use. Flustered is I think a more appropriate word, because he was screaming at the Red Sox bench for bunting on him in the first inning. And did screaming and swearing at them. And mind you, CeCe's a gamer. He really is. But for bunting? Really? You're going to lose your temper because of that? Against Eduardo Nunez, no less? Yeah. We all know Eduardo Nunez. We know what he's capable of, and we know what he's not capable of.
Right.
You really think he did it on purpose? I mean, come on.
I know. I gotta give CeCe some crap for that as well. And he also got crap from one of the old Red Sox legends.
Yes, Jim Rice. He said something to the effect of, if you don't want people bunting on you, maybe you should lose weight. Which is, ooh.
Yeah, and that's kind of a burn. That's, by the way, crap.
Go ahead.
So, Justin Verlander has officially been dealt the trade deadline. It's funny how the post-trade deadline stuff, even that's been pretty exciting, just as much as the trade deadline itself.
It's weird. It's the trade deadline's over, but things, it's like the aftershock. It's like the aftershock of a really big earthquake.
You're right. And Justin Verlander has been dealt to the Houston Astros. Wait. Oh my God. All right. There's a bad glitch. I was just trying to find the official report. Nick, do you want to see a bad glitch?
What?
Okay, try to read this.
Astros Justin Verlander dealt to Houston at deadline. Oh. The fact that it took me a minute to get it tells you something about my mental state.
Astros just... Come on, RotoWire, get your shit together.
Speaking from a journalist and training perspective, his copy editor probably had a heart attack and maybe strangled him.
So, Justin Verlander dealt away to Houston, and the Tigers receive... Now, they don't receive a cough. They receive outfielder Daz Cameron, pitcher Franklin Perez, and catcher Jake Rogers. All three listed in the Astros' top 11 prospects. Detroit will also send Houston, of course, the infamous Cash, or the even more infamous, a player to be named later.
Yes, the PTBNL.
Yeah,
the PTBNL.
Or money.
Yeah. So the Cash Money or Mr. Anonymous.
Oh, but wait, there's more. The Astros will receive $16 million to cover the $56 million remaining on Verlander's contract.
And the Astros will be on the hook for the rest.
Right. What do you think about this deal, Nick?
I see the upside, and I see a scenario where this could go screaming off a cliff, then burst into flames.
Yeah, I also can. Well, first of all, I'm trying to think, because it's Verlander. I mean, he is an AL Cy Young winner. He is an MVP winner, but he's not the Justin Verlander of yesteryear.
Yes, he's not the. I see. I'm wondering his win-loss record is below 500, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like that. Let me. Let's see. He's actually 10-8, but it's close to 500 basically.
So it's close to 500, but it's not Justin Verlander numbers. See, right. I'm wondering whether that's actually him or the fact that he was stuck on a team that was terrible.
Right. I think a couple of times it could be Verlander, but I also think it's Detroit. They suck. And they've sucked worse ever since they officially dealt JD Martinez to the Diamondbacks, which was great for the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, he's been tearing it up, hasn't he?
Yeah. Verlander also has a 382 so far this season and a 128 whip.
You know what? I wonder what he'll do in the playoffs because this is their answer the Yankees getting Sonny Gray.
Pretty much. It's the Astros' answer to, okay, what the hell do we do for the postseason? We need to do something to make a bang. And they went out and get Justin Verlander. But they give up 3 of their top 11 prospects. Now, I don't know where these guys are in terms of the overall top prospecting, but I know you're feeling on top prospects, Nick. It's like, and it's a legit, feeling. It's like they could be good or they could just be bad. And it wouldn't surprise me, considering this is Detroit, if they end up like crap.
It's Detroit, for God's sake.
Yeah. And the Astros receiving $16 million. So that means the Astros will still have to pay $40 million. And he is 34 years old, but Verlander's under contract through 2019. So it's not like, oh, we're sticking him around for the postseason and bye-bye. It's no. You've got
this kind of rental
reasons. Now, to be fair, looking at using an analysis, Verlander, we said, oh, this isn't the Verlander year, but he's a lot better of a Verlander now than he was earlier this season. He's posted a 3.24 ERA since the end of May, 118 strikeouts and 111 innings since May. And as he said, he's 34 years old. I mean, they do have Dallas Keuchel. Lance McCullers Jr. should be back anytime soon now.
So really, I look forward to the Yankees getting their faces rearranged in the wild card game against the Astros.
Aww. Well, I mean, if it happens, it's not the first time it happened. It happened 2 years ago.
God.
It was like the little glimmer of hope. Like, maybe we could actually do something. No.
Yeah, maybe this could actually not. Shame on you for hoping for stuff.
Yeah, shame on me for being, optimistic and actually hoping. And Verlander will hit free agency for the first time. Wait, really? Oh, that's right. Didn't he have like a long ass contract with Detroit?
Yeah. That's exactly the reason why Detroit wanted to trade him, because his contract was thought to be immovable, and
right.
He was signed for a lot of money, and still a couple of years left.
For the first time until he's like 36 years old. What the hell?
That's why it may behoove the Yankees to not, if Tanaka opts out, it may behoove them not to re-sign him.
Maybe. That's let's see. The Tigers waived his full no-trade rights as a 10-5 player to make the deal happen. Houston did add a full no-trade clause to the Verlander's contract while waiving the $22 million vesting option 2020, hence why he'll be a free agent after 2019. But man, that contract is something else. I guess Detroit thought Verlander was going to be a stud for a long, long time, and well, their team is no longer studs, and Verlander is no longer a stud. At least not in the sense that he used to be.
Well, they tried to win one from Mike Ilitch before the old man shuffled off the mortal coil, and that was signing Verlander was a piece to that puzzle, but they were just never able to put it together.
Nope, not at all. So I can see some upside here, but I think Houston is definitely the winner here with this deal. I think for Detroit, this was just get us out of this contract.
Can you build a staff around Michael Fulmer, though?
Right. I don't know about – that's the only thing about Detroit. I don't know about – Detroit, I feel like might be a laughingstock at the end of this. They might replace the White Sox as the laughingstock of the AL Central.
And that's something.
Because I don't see it. Fulmer being the ace of a team, I don't see it. Prospects, I don't see it unless they're going to go and try to trade for somebody big and sign this other individual to another contract. That's ridiculous.
Watch him go after you, Darvish.
Oh, God. You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast, the Cheesy Sports Production Party Undetermined Podcast Network. Speaking of Detroit and bad contracts, let's move over to Detroit's football team. I feel like Detroit is out New York contracting New York. Like, you talk about New York and their ridiculous contracts with their sports teams. I think Detroit is starting to outdo us.
Oh, I think that Rubicon has been crossed already.
God. All right. Matthew fucking Stafford.
Yes, indeed, Mr. Neckbeard Stafford. He is a rich man now.
He is now a rich man. He is now the richest player in NFL history. He has the biggest salary that has ever happened. He is the freaking... my mind is so baffled here. All right, so let's see. He signed a $135 million extension this year, making him the highest paid player in NFL history. Isn't he up to like some... What is he even up to anymore?
What do you mean, what is he even up to?
His yearly salary.
Something like $20 million against a cap?
My God. Like, I don't understand this. So, yeah, it's got to be something like, 20-something million dollars at the end of it. Let's see. I'm, trying to figure out the right number. I know ESPN used to have an image up on Instagram that compared other quarterbacks to Stafford's salary. So I want to try to find that. But, Nick, what are your thoughts on this salary before my rant and rave?
Ridiculous, exorbitant. It's a it's not an absurd amount of money. It's not an obscene amount of money. It's a sacrilegious amount of money.
All right, I found the image that I was looking for. All right, so Nick, Tom Brady has 5 Super Bowl rings. He's on the New England Patriots, one of, we have to admit, the best teams in modern NFL history. His salary, his average annual salary is $15 million. It ranks him 36th. 36th on, the highest paid list. Tom Brady, best quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in the game right now. He's only 36th on the list.
You can't see it, but I'm face palming so hard my head might actually go through my skull. It's incredible. You know what it is? It's the quarterback quality in this league is so subpar. With somebody who even shows a decent amount of talent, and that's what Stafford had. Let's give the man credit where credit is due. He can sling the ball, but in a league where some creature resembling the vague shape of Jay Cutler is getting paid $10 million to rescue the Dolphins from out of 8-8 hell.
Whoa,
rescue, quote unquote, the Dolphins from 8-8 hell. Are you really surprised that any quarterback with some amount of talent is going to be locked up long term? We were having this conversation a couple weeks ago with Kirk Cousins. They say he's going to get paid and paid big.
Right. And by the way, when you say Jay Cutler's going to rescue the Dolphins from 8-8 hell, that just means it's like, oh, I'm going to rescue you guys. Here, how about 3-13 or 2-14?
Hey, we'll take it.
Eli is actually ranked number 10. 2 Super Bowl wins, 2 MVP awards. He's $21 million, ranked 10th on the list. And right above him is Big Ben Roethlisberger with 2 rings and $21.9 million.
And 1 sexual assault conviction.
And a partridge in a pear tree. And Then we have Matthew Stafford at number 1, $27 million. Nick, 0 playoff wins.
The Detroit Lions have never even been to the Super Bowl. Not they've played in it and lost. No, they've never even been. They don't even know what it's like to experience a Super Bowl. And that shows you just how lucky and spoiled the likes of us are.
Right. But get that Lion King meme up.
Yes. That we have been able to see such things in our lifetime. I didn't think I was going to see one Giants victory in my lifetime, let alone 2.
That's fair.
But you know what? Is Stafford the guy to lead you there?
No.
You're going to say that definitively, that he's not the guy.
Here's the thing. It's Detroit. First of all, let's remember how they got Matthew Stafford. How did they get that number 1 pick in 2009? Oh, what was the year before that? That's right. The infamous season of all infamy. 0-16. Detroit, suffering, and you thought Matthew Stafford would help lead you out of that suffering. First you had to deal with Brett Favre, who was having it was like, what the hell kind of comeback is this with Minnesota? And then, after he leaves the league, you think, oh, maybe the NFC North is ours for the taking. In comes Aaron.
And then he poops all over your big football Super Bowl dreams.
Right. Because the Packers, as long as Aaron Rodgers is a Packer, and as long as the Packers have the kind of lineup they have, the Packers, I think, have the NFC North locked up for a while. And the only team, like we said last week, that can second them is the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, and you guys were not wrong when you picked that last week. But one man does not a team make.
Right.
And the fact that they've pushed out probably one of the greatest receivers, the greatest receiver they've ever had, probably one of the greatest receivers ever to play the game, in his prime because he didn't want to play for Detroit anymore. And mind you, that's the second time that's happened with their Hall of Fame players. What the hell is going on here?
I don't know. I don't really know. Like I said, I feel like Detroit is trying to learn from certain New York teams. It's like the contracts of the Yankees and the playing style of the Jets and the Mets.
Oh God, it's a hybrid. I think you've created a Frankenstein.
It exactly is. I think that's the thing about the Lions. And I mean, they have some talent, the Lions, like Golden Tate and such, Theo Riddick, but it's like, as much as you can consider them like individual talent, they're nothing to, make a good team. And so I feel like the Lions, with bad deals like this and such, will continue to suffer forever and ever and ever.
Amen.
Exactly. And hang on a minute, Nick. Hang on. I got to get a sound effect up here. But it's not one that I have on my soundboard, so that's why I'm taking a little while. Because, Nick, we're going to laugh. Because speaking of the Jets, it's time for some breaking news. I want to get a confirmed report on this, but a couple of friends of mine are talking about this in our group chat, and they are freaking themselves out and laughing hysterically.
Why? What happened?
Oh, God. I'm trying to find if they're... This must be legitimate breaking news because I can't find it on the score. Reportedly, Richardson has been traded.
Sheldon Richardson got traded?
Reportedly, Sheldon Richardson is traded.
Wow.
Hang on a minute. I'm trying to... Let's see. Yeah. Oh, confirmed. Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport They have officially confirmed this. Richardson has been dealt to Seattle for wide receiver Jermaine Kearse and draft considerations.
Oh,
what
my
kind of
God.
trade?
Oh, my God. If I was a Jets fan, I would be pulling out my hair right now.
What is this? Why? Where did this come from? How did this happen? This is wasting money.
Exactly. The cash machine is going crazy. It even can't believe it.
This trade. No, I can't. No, this trade is wrong.
See?
This trade is so.
Even the buzzer thinks, fuck that shit.
When are you going to learn, Jets?
Thank you, Mr. Buzzer.
When are you going to learn? I don't understand this. I'm so confused. They're tanking, Nick. Let's just put it this way. Let us know.
They are sucking for Sam.
They are legitimately just tanking to try to get the number one pick in the fucking, next year's draft.
Boy, when they said fire sale, they meant fire sale. Wow. I got to give them an A for effort, really. That is commitment. That is commitment and a half.
Yeah, you hear the tank moving? That's exactly what's going on here.
Yeah.
That is exactly what's going on here. Fucking tanking. I guess it's a year of the quarterback in college football. So I guess they want to get a young, up-and-coming quarterback. And Nick, you talk about quarterback mediocrity. Do you think maybe the year of the quarterback will, in college football, considering that just started up, will solve it?
No. When has it ever?
Okay, just thought I'd ask. You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast, the Cheap Seat Sports production, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. Jets, you guys are some big fuck-ups. But since we're on the topic of football, it's time for the NFC West and the NFC East. It's time for our countdown again.
So, the NFC West.
Yeah, let's start there. Who do you want to start with, Nick?
Let's start with, let's see. I'm just pulling up some statistics here to help me.
You got Cardinals, Rams, 49ers, Seahawks.
Let's start with the Seahawks.
Okay, Seattle Seahawks. Let me just...
Seeing as how they just pulled off the heist of the century.
That's true. I just had to take a drink of water because I don't get this.
Yeah.
I wish this. It's weird. I'm a Giants fan, and I wish I was beer because it's like the Jets. Their moves make me drink.
Exactly. I mean, that much stupid will leave you dehydrated.
Let's see. The Seahawks. Last season they improved. I mean, last season they had a 10-5-1 record, and for the first time since 2011, they will not play the Panthers during the regular season. Let's see some. Oh, hang on. I got a message from Nick, so sorry about that. I just got distracted.
No, it's okay.
Let's see. Let's talk about some of their moves. Let's see. Restricted free agency. They lost kicker Steven Hushka, who's now a Buffalo Bill. They signed Luke. Oh, well, they re-signed Marcel Reed. What happened?
Luke Jockle, I think they.
No, Luke Wilson.
Oh, Luke Wilson.
Luke Wilson, Marcel Reese, and Nico Thorpe. They re-signed with them. Let's see. They lost Brock Hoyle, Steven Terrell. They signed 4 guys with tender. Yeah, they did sign Luke Jockle. I'm talking about now. Here come the actual free agent signings. Luke Jockle. They signed Eddie Lacy. They signed Blair Walsh.
Wide left.
O'Day Abushi, Bradley McDougall, Michael Wilhoit, Terrence Garvin, David Bass. And they also made a trade. When Marshawn Lynch came back and went to the Raiders, they received a 5th-round pick in 2018 for it. They dealt Kevin Pierre-Louis to the Chiefs for DJ Alexander, and they dealt a 5th-round pick. I guess that pick they got from the Lynch thing to the Eagles for Matt Tobin and a 7th-round pick in that same draft. And they did not have a first pick in next year's draft. Their first pick was 2nd round, Malik McDowell, a defensive tackle from Michigan State.
So I think, I think the most important thing to focus on with the Seahawks is not necessarily what they did do; it's what they almost did. And we were hearing stories all throughout the offseason that Richard Sherman's unhappy. Richard Sherman's going to get traded.
Never happened. And I read a story on ESPN saying everybody thinks that Russell Wilson's a phony. People think that Richard Sherman needs to calm down, and this team just seems to me like they're not going to be able to keep it together. Like the ghost of Malcolm Butler is still haunting them. In that case, it's true. The Seahawks. It's tough because I think the Seahawks still have the potential to be, the winner of the NFC West. In fact,
the potential's always there.
I think they might still even win the NFC West because I don't see Wilson as overrated. I don't.
Phony as hell, but yeah, he
I think what the mistake is, because I read a report earlier in the year, like when springtime came around, that basically they want to, Pete Carroll wants to run the ball more. I guess he's still feeling the after effect of Super Bowl 49.
I will run the ball for eternity. It's almost like that Greek myth of pushing the rock up the hill. I shall push it. I shall run the ball for eternity until the end of time.
It's his punishment. It's his punishment from God above.
It is, and and it's not like Russell Wilson can, he can still play. Granted, if the O-line can keep him upright.
Right.
And it seems to,
but I think the Eddie Lacy signing is fine. I think the running back unit with Lacy and Thomas Rawls will be good. I don't see too much of a problem when it comes to the Seahawks. Doug Baldwin, Tyler Lockett, Jimmy Graham.
So honestly, it's a team that looks good on paper, but it still has the potential to go tits up.
That's true. All right, let's go to Arizona now. Arizona signed, they signed safety Antoine Bethea, kicker Phil Dawson, linebacker Jarvis Jones, defensive end Frosty Rucker, and wide receiver Andre Ellington in this offseason. Their first overall selection in the draft was the 13th pick. It was Hassan Reddick, a linebacker from Temple. They still have Carson Palmer and Blaine Gabbert at quarterback. Palmer, of course, being their starter. Ellington, David Johnson, the great David Johnson at running back. Wide receivers, you got John Brown, Jaron Brown. Of course, Larry Fitzgerald's there. J.J. Nelson, Jeremy Ross. Tight end, you got Gerald Christian, Jermaine Gresham. And on your line, we've got several different talents, including DJ Humphreys, Caleb Johnson. I don't think it's necessarily it's an okay team. They went 7-8-1 last season. I think that's the best way to describe it, though. It's 8-8 hell. This team, I see.
Yeah, it's a definite regression from where they were just a couple of years ago and to where they should be.
Right. And I think they still have a couple of talented players, but I mean, it's just a mediocre team all around. Like I said, I give this 8-8 hell.
So you would still stick them in 8-8 hell.
I would still stick them in 8-8 hell. Maybe 7-8-1, maybe 7-9. But I see this as just mediocrity. This is one of those teams that's the definition of mediocrity.
The NFL equivalent of tapioca pudding.
If I wasn't a vanilla fan, I would say they are the definition of vanilla.
That's insulting to vanilla.
That's why I said, well, because I'm a fan, I'm not going to say they're vanilla.
There you go.
All right. Do you want to go to LA or San Francisco?
Let's go to LA.
Okay, pack up your bags, Nick. Let's go to LA.
Wow, this place is a shithole. I'm going home.
So,
and not the city of LA proper. I'm talking about the stadium they play in.
They play in fucking Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. It's a college stadium.
More like it.
One that can hold a shit ton of people, yes. But,
yes, it's got all the charm and warmth of a Soviet gulag, which is really what you want in your stadiums.
But basically, the Rams, in their first season in LA, well, it went 4-12. Well, their first new season in LA, at least.
So Jeff Fisher and his mustache are gone.
Right. Let's see. They got Gerald Everett with their first draft selection. It was the 44th overall selection, so they also didn't have a first rounder. Let's see if Jared Goff can do anything with Malcolm Brown and Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley, man, I mean, he was the rookie of the year in 2015, and I
fell
feel
off a cliff.
I was gonna say this. Yeah, but the thing is, I feel like Gurley's talent is being wasted.
Are you kidding? Of course it is. And it would have been worse if had they stayed in St. Louis.
Gurley's talent is being absolutely wasted. Malcolm Brown's with him. Let's see. You got Tavon Austin. You got Sammy Watkins at wide receiver. You got Gerald Everett, tight ends, and Tyler Higbee at tight end. And Nick, what do you think of Cooper Kupp? Do you think he has a lot of hype going around him? Do you believe in the hype?
Do I believe in the hype? No. Do I see potential for a good player? Yeah.
All right. I mean, it's weird. It's like they were considering to give him, some receptions this season, like to actually be on, one of the starting lines and stuff. It's like, is this team that bad? It's like, I believe in the hype of Cooper Kupp. I feel like he could live up to, be something. Like that potential, he could be something. He could grow into, he could come into this league as a small stature person and leave a giant, basically.
Still, it's the LA Rams we're talking about. This has a team that has Todd Gurley and Sammy Watkins. When healthy, they're both good. So, but somehow when they get here, they manage to suck. I mean, they're the NFL's equivalent of carbon monoxide poisoning.
I think that's just this team in general. I think here's what I think. I think you take the talented players like Watkins and Todd Gurley, and like you said, the carbon monoxide stuff. I think that's the rest of this team. I think LA has surrounded those two with so much carbon monoxide poisoning that they are coughing up their lungs and collapsing to the ground.
Well, that would explain the product on the field.
And I mean, let's take a look at their schedule. Let's see. Colts, Redskins, 49ers, Cowboys, Seahawks, Jags, Cardinals, bye week, Giants, Texans, Vikings, Saints. I'm already seeing a bunch of L's here.
Yeah, you can definitely see them, but I see some improvement. I see there is potential there. I can see it. I can see it through the glass, but the glass is definitely frosted.
Yeah. So I don't think I'm not sure if they're gonna be a 4-12 team this season. They might be a 5-13. They might be a 5-11 instead. I wouldn't put them as a 3-13. I'd actually increase them. I'd increase them, but it's like, yeah, I'll push you. Just a thud. Yeah, you'll be 5-11 now instead of 4-12. How's that?
Yeah, but would people in the LA metropolitan area really care? I mean, is anybody in the LA metropolitan area really a fan of this team?
Probably not. Their new stadium, I mean, do you think ever going to be finished?
You might have to dig it out of 1,500 tons of mud, but
and more taxpayer money will have to go to it.
Yeah, they'll start draining more and more money out of Englewood, and you won't have any money for education. But boy, is that stadium going to look nice!
And Nick, last but most certainly not least, San Francisco.
How can you screw that up?
Nick, you know the Train song? There's a song by the band Train called Save Me, San Francisco. Mm-hmm. Well, San Francisco isn't going to be doing any saving. They need to be saved.
It is, this team, just when I thought they've run out of ways to completely screw things up, they come up with this. They are literally the pie, as in the number pi of NFL teams, where it never ends. And every time you think it's going to end, hey, here's a bunch of other ways.
Well, let's start from the beginning about the draft. So they had the second overall pick, and the Chicago Bears hit the panic button. So they moved down one slot for the Bears to pick Mitch Trubisky. So that was very smart on the 49ers' part.
So they didn't get suckered completely.
Right. So, let's see. They've got, let's face it, a shit ton of new talent on this team. Blaine Gabbert, of course, is off to Arizona, as we said. Quinn Patton's gone. And, oh my God, Torrey Smith was released. Marcus Ball released. Antonio Beta released. Eric Rodgers released. DeJohn Harris released. They got Solomon Thomas, defensive ends, on the third overall pick. And they got Reuben Foster, a linebacker from Alabama, as the 31st overall. And I'm going to actually just read off all of their fucking new signings. Here we go. Cornerback Quan Williams, wide receiver DeAndre Carter from the Patriots, defensive tackle Earl Mitchell from the Dolphins, wide receiver Pierre Garçon from the Redskins, Marquise Goodwin from the Bills, Robbie Gould from the Giants, Brian Hoyer from the Bears, Kyle Juszczyk from the Ravens, Logan Paulson from the Bears, Malcolm Smith, Matt Barkley, Brock Coyle, Aldrick Robinson, Don Jones, Dakota Watson, Tim Hightower, Gary Gilliam, Tim Barnes, Brandon Fusco, Will Davis, Elvis Somerville, Asa Jackson, Sean Porter, Ledger Duzavla, and Senderic Marks. And as I mentioned before, a partridge in a pear tree.
And a free bag of peanuts with every single Elvis Doomerville you buy.
Jesus Christ. But 49ers, it's like, what's it called? They went into a machine one way, and they came out another. It's like, what?
It's like that scene in The Fly.
It's like their DNA molecules got all rearranged. I don't know. What is this team even anymore?
It's a hodgepodge. It really is. The fact that I know some of those names and I've seen them be productive in the past, I can't tell whether that's a good thing or an ominous thing.
It's a head-scratching thing is what it is.
You know, the fact that I wouldn't call this bunch a bunch of cast-offs and retreads, would you?
I'm so confused here what they're trying to do. I mean, they still have Carlos Hyde. That's another date I should have mentioned. And I guess Brian Hoyer is going to be their quarterback now.
That is a completely new can of worms.
Yeah, this feels, I guess you said the best word, Nick. This is a hodgepodge. This is, you know what this feels like? This feels like an expansion team coming into the league again. It's like, okay, I'll take you from this guy, you from here, you from here, you from here, and just stir it all in one pot and make a mystery meat soup.
It's the NFL equivalent to British cooking.
I don't know where to rank this team. I'd put them on the same level, at most on the same level as the fucking Rams. Maybe a game under or so. They're not gonna be 2-14 again. I think their talent's a little better than that.
I would say that they go 5-11.
Yeah, I think them and the Rams will finish both 5-11, and that'll be your bottom of the barrel in this division. Cardinals, I see 8-8 hell. The only one I see with a winning record in this division is the fucking Seahawks. So by default, Seahawks.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take that too.
All right, Nick, let's go to the NFC East. Here we are. Who do you want to start with?
Let's start with our old pals, Washington.
The Washington Redskins. Oh, boy.
God, I hate having to say that name. Every time I say it, I feel dirty.
Anyways, yeah, the Redskins. That's a whole other can of worms. What you just mentioned for another day, Nick.
Yeah,
but let's see what we got with signings. They got Terrell Pryor from the Browns. They got Zach Brown from the Bills. They don't have the Zach Brown band though.
That would at least make it interesting to listen to.
Right.
Sure, they suck, but boy, can they play.
Deshaun Jackson is no longer on the team. Neither is Pierre Garçon, as we mentioned. John Sullivan's gone. Terrence Garvin's gone. They got Jonathan Allen from Alabama, a defensive end in the draft. Kirk Cousins is still going to be your quarterback. Rob Kelly's still going to be at running back. Jamison Crowder, Terrell Pryor, wide receiver. Vernon Davis still at tight end, along with Jordan Reed. Nick, what are you thinking with this team?
I hate the fact that they are somehow inexplicably good.
Inexplicably good, but do you think they're actually going to produce results? Actually, you know what? Let's look at their schedule. They got the Eagles. If there's one matchup that's a toss-up, actually there's two matchups that are toss-ups when it comes to this division, like an inter-division game. Intra-division, pardon me. One is Giants-Cowboys, of course. The other is Eagles-Redskins.
Yeah, it is. I don't know what to expect. It's just I will be disappointed in this team's inability to just stay down.
Right. Well, let's put it this way. Worst comes to worst, they go 1-1. They split the Eagles series. They got the Rams on their schedule, which I can see as a win. They got the Raiders. That's another toss-up. Chiefs, I can see that as a loss. They better beat the 49ers for their sake. Cowboys is certainly a loss. Seahawks certainly a loss. Vikings, depending on the day, I could see as a win. Depending on the day. Because Sam Bradford's a fucking quarterback.
Yeah, he's the NFL. He is the coin flip of quarterbacks.
Saints is a loss.
Really?
Saints, actually, the Saints I'll put as a toss-up again.
I would put that as a win because, sure, Drew Brees can throw for 5 million yards, but defense can't stop anybody.
That's fair enough. They got another Los Angeles game, this time against the Chargers. I see it as a win.
That is definitely a win.
So, I mean, at the very worst, what are they? At the very worst, 1 or 2 games under 500? That's actually not bad.
At the very worst, they're probably 8-8. I would go that. I would even go that far.
So there you go. That's already one good team in this books. Nick, let's go visit our friends over in Philadelphia.
Ah, yes. Battery throwing, mustache having,
Santa Claus hating.
Santa Claus hating Philadelphia Eagles fans.
They signed Torrey Smith and Alshon Jeffrey along with Nick Foles. Hey, Nick.
Hi.
LeGarrette Blount. Let's see. They got Derek Barnett, 14th overall in the draft. So, I mean, yeah, Foles and Wentz, the quarterback. You got Blount and Smallwood and Sproles at running back. Torrey Smith at wide receiver, along with Alshon Jeffrey. Zach Ertz as your tight end again. And Nick, do you think Carson Wentz will have another season like he did last year and still be impressive?
Oh, he'll be impressive. That I'm pretty sure of. Whether the rest of the team will follow suit, hard to tell.
Right.
I know definitely they will go. They will, no matter how they're playing, good or bad, or if they're playing bad, they will immediately revert to superhuman form when playing the Giants. That's just it's a foregone conclusion.
True. Let's look at their schedule outside of NFC. I mean, outside the NFC East. Chiefs, that's more a loss, I think. Chargers is a win. Cardinals is a split. Panthers, that can be weird. I could see that as a...
I would call that a loss.
Yeah, okay, I'll go a loss. 49ers, they better win. Broncos, where do you see that?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Although, no, I could no. I could definitely see Carson Wentz going in there and blowing the doors off them.
Yeah.
Because they have something called the Trevor Siemian at quarterback.
Exactly. Chicago Bears is a win. Rams, that's a win. I mean, that's another team where it's like at the very worst, I see 5-11 or 6-10. I just, at the very worst, this actually, the NFC East right now, I will have to say before we even go to the Cowboys and Giants, is probably the most competitive division.
Oh, yeah, it is. These teams are definitely good on paper. It's just a matter of, it's just what varying degrees of execution are we going to see from these teams this season?
Well, we'll have to wait and see on that one because, I mean, the talent's all there, but will they all live up to their hype? Nick,
So with that,
I accidentally just clicked the trash button. Nick, let's go to Dallas.
so that's where the Cowboys were hiding. I should have figured they'd be there.
Let's see. Well, they no longer have Tony Romo or Mark Sanchez. They don't have Lucky Whitehead anymore. They don't have Terrell McLean, Rolando McLean, or Jack Crawford. They don't have J.J. Wilcox. Who they do have? Taco Charlton, who they did the draft. They still, of course, have Dak Prescott, Darren McFadden, maybe Ezekiel Elliott.
Is he still suspended, or is that up in the air?
I think that's up in the air. It's been appealed. I think the ruling's coming Monday or something like that.
Yeah, especially considering how we found out this morning that the
NFLPA.
The NFLPA. Well, the head investigator actually recommended to Goodell that Elliott not be suspended.
Right, and earlier today, also what I was referring to, the NFLPA has requested a restraining order to block any suspension of Ezekiel Elliott.
So, so we may see him at the start of the season. We may see him, he may get suspended. It's unable to. We're not unable to tell at this point, but
there's too much in the air on that situation.
But do the fortunes of this team turn with Ezekiel Elliott on this team? That is the question that I put to you.
No, because they're still going to be good regardless. Because I think we talked about this before. You would expect a tougher schedule for this team because it's the Cowboys and how well they did last season. Well, this schedule's a fucking laughing stock, in my opinion. The Broncos, the Cardinals, after the Giants, the Broncos, Cardinals, Rams, Packers. So Giants, Packers, that's 2 matchups, and then a bye. But then the Niners, the Redskins, the Chiefs, the Falcons, the Eagles, the Chargers, Skins again, Giants again, Raiders, Seahawks, Eagles. I don't see that as a tough schedule. At least not tough enough for a fucking team that went like 11-5, 12-4 last season. I don't see that as a tough schedule.
Well, you can always, Jarrah has a lot of pull, and I guarantee you they kind of went easy on him this year.
I'm sure of it. So I see dominance by the Cowboys again. But then, Nick, we have our team. We finally here.
The New York Football Giants. Shit, what is there to say?
Let's see. I mean, we got Brandon Marshall, so as Victor Cruz leaves, we now have Brandon Marshall for our triple threat wide receiver unit.
Time will tell whether the key actually can stay healthy and, refrain from being a head case.
Geno Smith is a backup quarterback now. Why?
Because we can't have nice things.
Because he has to get punched in the jaw again.
Hey, maybe they're actually using him as a punching bag. Maybe we've been a little bit too harsh on Geno. And I know you can't see him, folks, but he's looking at me like I just sprouted an extra head. But maybe, just maybe, and I could be, and I fully accept the possibility of me eating my words later. But maybe this is a good thing for Geno to be not part of the Jets.
I mean, to not be part of the Jets. Yeah, that's the thing. What else we got? Evan Engram, as I mentioned. Davis Webb was drafted in the 3rd round. So, it's like making the sign of a cross about Eli's future. But I guess they're already preparing for when Eli's going to leave or retire.
God help us all.
God help us all when that happens. But, I mean, at the very least, they're starting now. Better than starting when there's 1 season to go.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing. I mean, you cannot. See, they refuse year after year to fix the one thing that has been a problem with this team for the last couple of years, and that's keeping Eli on his feet.
You're talking about the offense.
The O-line is terrible. I'm sorry, man. I am so sick of hearing about, when is Eric Flowers going to turn it on? He's not going to turn it on. It's 3 years.
It has been.
He sucks.
You're ready to call the flop, and I might be as well.
Other than Odell Beckham Jr. and Landon Collins, Jerry Reese has not had a good draft in a long time.
I mean, I give credit for Evan Engram. I think he has the ability to, be another Larry Donnell, where it's like he can block, he can catch, he can do it all. I think there's some potential with that one.
And what exactly are we expecting out of Paul Perkins?
I guess
the running game, we need a running game, and Paul Perkins and Shane Vereen, as much as I like Shane Vereen when he's working.
And Arlene Starkwa.
And Arlene Starkwa. But every day it seems like these guys just aren't finding they aren't turning it on. They aren't finding good holes. And I don't know whether that's probably the offensive line's problem, because they can't find these guys a clear goddamn lane.
Right. But I mean, the defensive unit's still good. Olivier Vernon, Landon Collins. Landon Collins, I think, is going to have another big year.
Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie.
JPP.
Yeah, when even JPP and his 1.7 fingers, his 1.7 hands, I should say, are better at blocking than your offensive lineman is with Eric Flowers, then you might have a bit of a problem there, Chief.
But the defensive unit's going to be big. Defense does win championships, so it's like if the offense can get their shit together and get on the board, I see something good for this team. So, Nick, that being said, what do you think of the NFC East? I think it's going to be like last year, Cowboys and Giants.
I would have to agree, although I see the Redskins making a run for it.
Absolutely.
Because these guys are like zombies. They refuse to die.
Right. And I think if Zeke's suspension is somehow still 6 games after this, I might have the potential, that thinking to maybe flop the two and make Giants-Cowboys.
Really?
Potentially. Although I think more might be Cowboys-Giants. But regardless, I could see the two of them getting in.
That is house money you were gambling with there, Tom. Are you sure?
Man.
Are you absolutely sure?
I can't. I want to, but I can't. The Cowboy schedule is so fucking easy.
That's what it is with Giants fans. We should be exuberant and joyful that there is a football team in New York worth watching. But we're just miserable for some reason. Just miserable.
Because the Cowboys have it too easy. Anyway, so here's what I'm going to do for next week, Nick. Hopefully I remember to do this because since I was saying the schedule so much. I'm going to go through each team each week, and I'm just going to say who wins each week. Going to come up with a final prediction for everything based on our predictions for, who wins each division from the past 4 weeks. And then, I'm going to pick a couple of wildcard teams next week. And I will give my early Super Bowl prediction.
As will I.
Okay, cool. That's going to do it for episode 34 of the Unspoken Podcast. Make sure to follow us at the UDUP on Facebook, Twitter, and Periscope. Check out Combat Mania, my new show coming soon. And check us out on Facebook at Combat Mania UD on Facebook and Twitter. Make sure to follow all the rest of the Undetermined Podcast Network, social media, and the other shows. And that's going to do it. I'm Tom Albano along with Nick Fodera. We'll see you next week for episode 35. You've been listening to the Unspoken Podcast, Cheap Seat Sports Production, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.